Thank you so much, Ellen Jumba, if I got it right. Anna Jumba. Yeah, thank you so much. If we compare solar in terms of cost in comparison with other technologies of power generation, the levelized cost of solar and wind in particular are reasonably cheaper compared to other technologies. That is basically what will be the net cost of a power generation on solar for its entire lifetime. For solar and wind are relatively much cheaper compared to other alternative sources of energy. That is one. Secondly, the second question was, how can we then be able to leverage on technology to be able to actually propagate or accelerate solar? Technology plays at a very center stage. Long time ago, we all believed that solar was pretty expensive. And indeed it was. Today, technology has made it very possible that we are already producing thin film at way much cheaper cost than the previous and earlier production that were used to be done. So technology is actually playing a very critical center stage in terms of making solar affordable. But most importantly, we can also be able to deploy technology to be able to help us to size and design very accurate solar power plants that can actually be able to meet demand. So definitely technology is going to be at the very center stage in terms of issues of innovation around renewable energy. And solar is one of those particular areas where technology has played a very critical role. And Governor, because solar is so affordable, or more affordable now, this will help towards e-mobility, which is part of what this conference is all about as well.
Yeah, I think another big area for green investment is e-mobility. And I think it took center stage at the Africa Climate Summit. If you remember, the president traveled in the yellow car that was an electric car. And I think that really is the future. Because if you set up solar, and Redditor are here, and you had the other guys who are in Ringiti and so on, if you set up solar, and we need extension officers to be on motorbikes, for example, together with our revenue officers and so on. So if we can have a situation where, solar stations are set up and you can charge your bike and move with it for 12, 24 hours and come back and charge it at night, it means that you will be moving cost-free and emitting no carbon. So really, the cost will be very low, and there'll be no emissions contributing to the climate crisis that we are facing. So I think e-mobility is an area that we are looking at investors to come in and invest in.
Speaking of investors, we have an investor in the house. Carl Nagy is an investor in renewable energy. Carl, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Yeah, we are, but not only renewable energy. I think what I heard that resonates a lot with me. And I would call it a bio-refinery, what we bring to Homa Bay with our company, Homa Bay Biogas 1. That's not only renewable energy, it's more than that. So, and it's not only renewable energy like solar, which is great, but it's renewable energy baseload, which is in my eyes for a region to strengthen the grid, very important. But we start with harvesting the water hyacinth and bring back biodiversity to the lake, number one. Number two, then we put the bagasse and the water hyacinth together in a fermentation process, which is the first step of our biorefinery. That then produces renewable energy, baseload renewable energy. Number two, in the second step, the digest, with that we produce organic fertilizer, a high quality one, to bring back fertility to the soil. And number three, the last step of our process will be to produce potable or drinking water. And that three processes, all those three, are CO2 neutral. On top of that, what you spoke about is we are creating carbon certificates. And as impact investors, We are not private equity. We are impact investors. For us, it's important to give back to the region, to give back to the Bay. And that means we collaborate together with United Nations, and our goal is to really implement to that biorefinery with our company all 17 SDGs in one project. And my knowledge is, and what I know today is that it's the first project on this size which covering all 17 SDGs. And we decided to put that biorefinery as a masterpiece, first in the world, into Homa Bay, investing more than 100 million. And I heard a great quote yesterday saying, Homa Bay is a new Dubai. Let's work on that together. Thank you.
And the other thing, Governor, you were saying the other day was that this lake, this beautiful natural resource you have right here, has been so underutilized. It can be utilized a lot more. Extremely.
I'm very happy with what he said about, getting the hyacinth and then going through the whole works. But we have 80% of Kenya's Lake Victoria. 80%. Kenya has 6% of the lake. We have the least of our neighbors, Uganda and Tanzania. But out of that 6%, Homa Bay has 80% of it, providing a big opportunity for aquaculture, for example, providing a big opportunity for lake transport, providing a big opportunity for tourism. We have 16 islands, and the lady mentioned some of them, providing an opportunity for green energy for use in the islands. She mentioned Kibwogi, Kiwa, some of the islands that are not already on the grid and are not being done by the national government. I know Rerek is doing Ngothe, is doing Takawiri, but Jeff, the lake is a big resource that God gave us for free. But we have turned our back to the lake. I don't know whether people felt there were spirits in there, but we have really turned our back to the lake. So now we have to come back working with our beach management units to support them, to just move from also fishermen to also fish farmers, to help them, to graduate them, and to use the lake, and to turn this bay of endless potential, this Homa Bay, which we hope to become a city in the next within the next decade, to turn it to face the lake, and so that people can enjoy. If you go to countries with much smaller water bodies, much smaller, you go to Cairo and the Nile, and they use it so much, you'd think they have the Lake Victoria, So I think we have underutilized the lake. We apologize for underutilizing it, but we will use it now. We will make proper use of it, and we will shout about it. Yeah. And even, many people didn't even know how much of the Lake Homa Bay has, for example. It's always a surprise when you speak to it. So, Jeff, we apologize, we didn't use it much, but we will make full use of it. And when we have this discussion in the coming years, it will be a totally different discussion. We'll probably be on a cruise ship on our way to Mwanza, into the Serengeti, over it. This will be the greatest of things that we will see for Homa Bay. God giving us life, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
Ben Omolo, where are you out there? Ben?
Thank you very much. Mine is a question, but first of all, is just to commend the governor and the leadership of the county really on climate financing, where the policy frameworks that has been put in place ensures that 5% of the county budget is going towards climate initiatives. Now, that said, if you're here in the conference the last couple of days, you realize that the offtake of Homa Bay is going to revolve around the lake or agriculture. The last week's assessment that was done indicates that the biggest threat to our climate issues is around drought and floods. My question is, how can we mainstream these contracts and deals that we are signing with the investors to ensure that they're putting commitments towards their investments, to ensure that there is response towards climate initiatives, not just those who have climate-centered investments, but cross-cutting, because that's the policy. The policy that Homa Bay has is that the climate change initiatives should be cross-cutting in all the frameworks that we have in the county. I don't know if it's you, Mwok, or Dr.
Prof, you want to take that?
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Ben. That's a very interesting question. Actually, that brings us to the question about the climate investment. Where I want to start is that looking at the climate investment, only 4% of the climate investment comes to Africa. And the key problem, I mean 4% actually, the key challenge that we have is first is with the skills, with the data. We don't have data. You know, when we are talking about carbon credits, you really need to have that baseline data. But in Africa, we don't have this data. Another problem that actually I want to connect with your question is on the policy and regulation framework. Do we have stable policies? You know, if I take an example, around 2020, 2018, the government actually removed all the tax on solar equipment and improved stores. And so the investors came. After that, it was reintroduced. And so if you came because that time the policy framework was favorable, and then you change it midway, then the people who actually invested are disadvantaged. So it means that for us to maintain the investors that are coming, we must have the policies, and our policy should be predictable over at least 10 years or 20 years, so that when you are coming with your investment, then you are sure that what you had planned for is what you are going to get. I think that's going to happen. But also the issue around capacity, we also have to build the capacity of our people. Because a lot of carbon credit or other investments are leaving us because we don't have that knowledge or the capacity to write bankable projects. And so all these projects are all going to India, to China, and to Brazil, but Africa remains there.
Governor, I see you nodding in agreement.
Yeah, I'm in agreement because I chaired the finance committee, Jeff. And so when Prof is talking about our tax policy framework, I agree, because this year, finance bill can say, biofuels will not be taxed. Next year, we can introduce some tax on it, excise or something. Then investors are lost. And that's why I'm happy that I think right now, Parliament is discussing a tax policy. And the tax policy will provide a broad framework that will state that if a tax is exempt, how long should it take? You know, it should be 5, 10 years, 10 years, actually 15, 20 for that to happen. So I think I just wanted to agree with Prof that a predictable policy environment, both at the county level and now, then I was in Parliament, but now I'm in the executive. It is also incumbent on me to ensure that any things we do as a county or we promise our investors, we're able to deliver on them, not just in 1, 2 years, but in 10, 15, 20 years, until they have recovered their investment. Because people are investing painfully, getting money, equity, whatever it is, to invest. You must make sure that they have a return on investment, because investors are not investing on, please help us, no? Investors are investing where they can get return. This is the whole essence. Nobody is coming at you, Homa Bay, you look very poor, we can help you. No, they want a return on their investment.
Absolutely. And
that is what we must guarantee. Otherwise, there will be no investor. We'll just be talking until the cows come home. Jeff, even if we sit here until midnight,
yes.
There will be no investor if we cannot guarantee that return. And some of those things are how we guarantee the return. Yeah.
Dr. George, hello.
Yeah, Jeff, I just need to let the public know that county government of Homa Bay did carry out what we call participatory climate risk assessment, which was done from the ground. We did engage the people from the village to get to know the levels of vulnerability and which type of investments would they require in order to build resilience and adaptation. And every community came up with not less than 10 investment programs that assisted the county government to develop what we call climate change action plan. I need to indicate here that one that stood out is the need for water. Because that is necessary in building resilience among the people, because Prof did say that one of the challenges we are facing with regard to climate change is drought. And when we have changes with regard to the temperature levels, then people need a lot of water. But again, food security is also another very important thing. And so there is enough opportunities for investment in the water sector, not only for consumption, but also for irrigation. And I want to thank the governor that in our tenure, we have gone green in terms of our water projects, to the extent that in the rural areas, we no longer use electricity. All the boreholes that have been done during our tenure are solarized. And so we don't have communities struggling with water bills. And she has told you that we have underutilized our lake. If you go to India, you will find that we have solar lights floating in the ocean, and we have enough space in our lake. And so whoever wants to invest in green energy should also know that Homa Bay enjoys in excess of 10 hours for sunshine. And so when you invest in green energy, you are sure that you'll be able to recoup whatever investments you have. But then, Prof was talking about climate change resilience investments that the governor did mention about FLOCA. We already have investments that our people have made a choice on. And when the grants come, it's a matter of rolling them out to now, try to mitigate against the challenges of climate change. And we were trailblazers on PCRA. We were one of the very few counties in Kenya that first carried out what we call participatory climate risk assessment. And this was, developed and communicated to FLOCA, and that has given us an edge. So I want to say that Homa Bay is a good place to invest in. We have several opportunities with regard to even climate sequestration that Prof was talking about, green energy, and all those. We invite investors to invest here.
Okay. You do some good PR for this county, don't you, Doctor?
Yes,
Yes.
he does.
Good, Ken.
Allow me to mention that in this particular country, around October, November, there are parts of this country that we constantly, October, November, you can take it to the bank. We'll have floods. Around July, you can be very certain we are going to have droughts. I think it is a very important thing to mention that what Homa Bay County has done to actually put 5% of their budget on sustainability means a lot, because for every single dollar that is spent on any sustainability initiative, we actually save ourselves an equivalent of $3 in terms of subsequent request for humanitarian support. So what Homa Bay County has done, I have to say, they have taken a very bold step to actually move from the boardroom where a lot of talk is happening. And they're now leading from actually taking action. So that is really commendable, I would say.
Absolutely. Brian Nyakwanda. Brian?
Thank you, Jeff. My name is Brian Nyakwamba. I'm a director at ELREN. ELREN is the Lake Region Empowerment Network. We operate under 3 thematic areas, and that is climate action resilience, climate smart agriculture, and also in education and ICT. On education and ICT, we work with schools, and we do environmental education in schools where we sensitize schools to grow fruit trees. 2 things. One, I would like to commend the county government under the leadership of Her Excellency the Governor for taking a bold charge and having this discussion of climate change within our region. 2, from a perspective, a lot of sensitization is going on, and we are requesting that much sensitization should be done on this. But then again, from the question that the first speaker asked, what action is the county taking to make sure that our people are not exploited in terms of earning these carbon credits? And how then can we calculate these carbon credits and triculate them down to the people? Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Prof.
Thank you. I think that's a very pertinent question. How do we protect our people from exploitation? And I want to take it from there are many ways that we look at this. We need to look at this. What criteria do we use? Because we have investors coming. Everybody is promising something really good. But are they really good? There's something, a common terminology that is used now, right now. It's called greenwashing. I'm sure for those who are in the carbon market, you know, the greenwashing, that the people come with big, you know, big promises. This project is going to do this, going to do that. But at the end of it, you find that it was just, you know, you are greenwashed. Like, you know, what washing now it's called greenwashing. So there are criteria that we have to look at 3 areas. One is the environment. We have to the environment outcomes. You have to look at the social outcomes, and you have to look at the governance. And so in the governance area is where you are also going to consider things like pricing. You know, one of the biggest problems with the carbon credits is that, first of all, the quality of that credit. People can claim anything. I said about carbon credit, but what was the quality? If you are talking about a forest, did that forest survive? You have planted trees in 100 acres, but how many of those trees are surviving? So we have to think about that quality. And second, we have to think about the transparency in pricing. Those 2 issues, if you follow them, then you can't go wrong. And I'm sure that our investors, that is why it's good that our investors should be coming through here so that we have the expertise to protect them and tell them what is right.
Right. Governor, the other thing that was talked about during this investors conference is waste management. How is Homa Bay dealing with that?
Yeah, thank you very much, Jeff. And we're talking about sustainable waste management. And one of the early things that we did together with the UN Habitat was to do a survey on what waste do we have, how much waste are we generating within our municipalities. It's the data question. And, you know, we are very privileged as Homa Bay to have that data of what waste are we generating, how much organic waste are we generating, how much inorganic waste are we generating, then how do we deal with our waste. And I'm happy that one of the MOUs or partnerships that we signed today is with Akentotech, which is a sustainable waste management group, and they're going to be bringing on board black armyworms to help in decomposing the organic waste, and they also have other technologies for the inorganic waste for creating a circular economy around that. And I think then we go to with the organic waste, then we go to the fertilizers and so on and so forth. So I think this is going to be a very, very sustainable way. So it's a big area requiring economies of scale. So maybe we, as Homa Bay, we may not generate enough waste. So we will continue to see how we partner and leverage on the Lake Region Economic Bloc. And that is the discussion that we will be having tomorrow. And we began it today. We've had over 10 governors attending this conference, most of whom have been from the Lake Region Economic Bloc, to think about how do we synergize, how do we bring how do we bring the economies of scale together? And that is a conversation we'll be delving in very, very deeply tomorrow. So, Jeff, I think waste management is another area, and another area that is available for green investment in Homa Bay.
All right.
Yeah.
Dr. Silpa Anyango, where are you? Dr. Silpa, you have a mic?
Hi, Jeff.
No pressure.
Hi.
Go ahead.
All right. So I think, as has been said, it's been a wonderful 2 days, and we look forward to how it will happen tomorrow. And of course, as we say, pen to paper, what will happen after this investment. We are very excited, especially as the financial partners, to come on board and support the local investors who are looking to invest in this beautiful county. We've walked together the journey, and we expect to still continue walking this journey. And it's just to say thank you and well done for the exciting leadership. Thanks.
Thank you, Silpa. All right, we're going to go around the room and get some closing remarks moving forward. Prof, we're going to start with you, and we'll go this way.
Jeff, I once said that climate is a reality. That's what you said when it started. And we are living in a borrowed time. We have to take action. Everybody, not only the government, not only everybody, as individuals, as companies, as private sector, we have to take action.
Absolutely. Dr. Joash.
Thank you. There are quick wins that we can capitalize on with regard to combating the challenges of climate change. and one of them is growing trees. As Homa Bay County, this is something that we have advocated for. And we have a very silent policy. For those who are from Homa Bay, they know that we encourage our people to grow trees even when they are honoring those who are passed on. And on the day of the burial, they go there and we are able to plant trees not less than the age of those who are passed on. But even those who are celebrating their birthday, we encourage them to grow trees before they celebrate the birthdays, commensurate to the number of years that they want to live. So this is something that we are passionate about, and for sustainability, we are asking them to ensure that that is included in their budget, so that you don't ask what the government can do for you, but you ask yourself what you can do for your county. So I encourage Homa Bayans, please let's grow trees to protect our water towers and combat the challenges of climate. I thank you.
You must be a fan of John F. Kennedy, huh? Ask not what your country can do for you. Well done. Ken Odegi.
I think the urgent question that we must all be confronted with today is what can we be able to do individually towards the contribution of sustainability. And we must be able now to enshrine sustainability in every other aspect and boardrooms where we actually get engaged in. Because if we do this later is going to be too late. The time is now. Let us all rise up and individually make our single contributions towards sustainability.
Absolutely. Before I give the governor the final word, does anyone here think there's something that's been left out? Any pressing issue you'd like to address? Ask the governor. You might not get to see her for a while. I see there's a hand in the back over there, about 3-4 rows back.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Godwin Ayata. Before we leave, we need to acknowledge that climate change is not just a Homa Bay issue, but it's a global concern which needs a collaborative and multi-sectoral approach in addressing climate action. So, Your Excellency, you talk about FLOCA. One of the key components of addressing climate change is climate funding. How easy is this FLOCA fund access by locally led community organizations, community-based organizations, and the youth who are working toward addressing this climate change? Thank you very much.
Okay, let's get one more. Let's get one more, two more. Governor, do you remember that FLOCA? You need a PA to take some notes.
No, I take them myself, but I'm not. Yeah, let me just note them so that I...
Go on.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm Engineer Victor Okuna, energy specialist dealing with climate change. I just have a response to the question the lady asked about the cost of solar installations, especially in our areas. I have a response, and I really request. The solar installation the cost is still high. But if the government can partner with the solar installation like us, so that the distribution part is met by the government, and the private sectors, the investors, can only do the installation, and then we sell the solar energy to the grid owned by Kenya Power. So if we have maybe Fangano here, then the part to be done by the investors should be design and installation of solar systems. Once it is installed, then the national government now buys that system and now sell it to the people. You will find that now the cost of installation will have really gone down, and the local people like us now will buy that solar system at a very cheap price. Two, the response on carbon credits. Carbon credits is something that very few people really understand what it's about. I want to say that for you to have a carbon credit, you must have data. And within the local here, there's no one who has that system to analyze and measure data. So if we go with the how much units you have saved of carbon emissions, then you will find that the most of these monies that will come to these people will have been channeled back to back to Nairobi. Like all those guys who have the data, they are people who are not even the directors of these companies. You take, for example, the Sun King M Copper. they are not locals here. So for me, I can buy a solar system, but the person who will be paid that money for carbon credit is not even Kenyan. My request to the national government is, let that money for the carbon credit come to the hustlers like us who are doing this, the irrigation along the lake. We have the small-scale farmers from Busia all the way to Migori. There are thousands and thousands of hustlers who are using petrol and diesel every day to ensure that they are growing, they are doing their farming. So for us to really talk about the issue of carbon credit, let us not really go to Kenyan, who already have a good system to monitor, because it is the function of the Kenyan to give me power. So if I don't have power in my farm, then let that money not go to Kenyan, but let that money be channeled to me, so that if I'm running a thermal plant to do farming or a water pump, then we can have a 50-50% cost with the government, so that I buy 50% of solar and the national government buys for me 50%, so that every person along the lake is able to afford the solar system, so that we get away of the thermal plants.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, engineer. One more. Maybe a lady. Can we get a lady, please? Where's the lady? Ready in front. Red cap, yeah.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey.
My name is Marcia Chengo Odhiambo. Professionally, I'm a teacher and the county coordinator for Kenya Women Teachers Association. I interact with the students, and my question is, we have a sustainability, and when we are looking at sustainability, we really need to consider the kids. In our discussion, I didn't hear the kids coming in. In our schools, we are only planting trees. But if you look at climate change, we are having a diverse issues in climate change. So I would urge our Excellency, the Governor, I'm really proud of what you are doing, and the national government, so that we collaborate issues and bring these issues to our students in school, so that we have a future who also knows what climate change is and does not only talk about climate change in terms of planting trees. Thank you.
Good point. Thank you. Thank you. Governor, you can respond to that, and then you can give us your final thoughts.
Thank you very much, Jeff. I want to first respond to the question on FLOCA and access by young people. How easy is it to access FLOCA? I think FLOCA is perhaps, one of the smallest parts of climate financing or funding, but it's also the easiest because it's financing locally led initiatives. And the initiatives that are being financed are generated at the ward level. So there are ward committees. So the ward committee members decide what investments they want for their community or their ward. And for example, water has come up a lot for Homa Bay. Tree nurseries by youth groups has come up in some wards. And I'd like to urge, was it Charles or Godwin? Yeah, so I'd like to urge Godwin that here there's nothing is happening in Homa Bay. You have to go back to your village. And then from the ward, you put strongly the case. So we'll be looking at nurseries and so on by youth groups. That is, has come from some wards. Some wards have climate resistant seeds, for example. So those are the areas within which we are working. And we also have a climate information center here where we are giving our people that information. So FLOCA is the easiest. I think the more difficult ones are where if you go and try and get money like the Green Climate Fund, GCF and the others, where it's like getting water out of a rock. Those are the bigger funds. But FLOCA is the easiest because it's really, truly locally led. And Homa Bay is leading in the public participation aspect. So I think Victor, engineer, made comments, and I don't want to comment much, but I want to agree that if you go along our lakes, people are using diesel every day to power their generators, to pump out water and do the small-scale irrigation. Right. So climate-smart agriculture and providing our farmers, and we have tried to do that, providing our farmers with solar pumps to do the irrigation, that we're doing along the lake. And we are working on even bigger programs. I think Professor here is leading a program that is going to, be climate smart in the sense that we can pump water out into the higher places, and then the water comes down by gravity onto a bigger scale, so this level of irrigation. But we also must think about, we have Oluch Kimira scheme here, we must think more seriously with the variability of climate. You plant as you used to do with our grandfathers and wait for rain, it doesn't come, everything dies. So we must think more about irrigation as we move forward. And I think, Mercy, you have made a wonderful point. I think everybody agreed with you that there is no way we are going to change this conversation unless we go to our children. And we and the counties are responsible for ECD children. We must break down this content to their understanding and begin to get them through. And then in primary schools, and this is now at the national level, I think the curriculum should speak more strongly. Because, Jeff, if we don't teach our children, I think we're going to be hanging somewhere. But if we teach our children, you realize that everybody knows the national anthem, everybody knows the East African. Why? Because we are teaching our children, and the children teach their parents. And the parents, now carry it from there. So the children are a missing link, and I think you have made the point, Mercy. And finally, Jeff, on my own closing remarks, I'd really like to say that we have been overwhelmed by support from all corners for this investment conference, and it's incumbent upon us to tie down and follow up. Jeff, the conference is not the end. It's really the beginning of a conversation, because, as I said, investors are looking for return. So you must crunch the numbers finally. Nobody is just going to come. You must crunch the numbers with every investor. We signed 9 today. We must crunch the numbers with them so that they see that it makes sense. We must follow it up. We must make it easy for them. You must give information to them. We must give them incentive. We must incentivize the investment for them to come. So we are looking forward to set up an investment unit together with Anderson, who are consultants, who are also helping us, which is a global consulting firm helping us to put the numbers down and say it makes sense because of A, B, C, D to invest in Homa Bay. Dr. Lowe was saying, you must come. Homa Bay is wonderful, and investment here will be massive. But that is good, but the language will not convince the investors. The numbers is what will convince them, and so we're going to have to crunch the numbers some more. So I'd like to really thank the people who've made this happen. I'd like to thank His Excellency the President, who under very, very tight circumstances with a visiting head of state made it to come here to Homa Bay, even though for 1.5 hours, to just come and show his support for the investment conference. I'd like to thank Baba, who was here with us today, together with Kalonzo and a whole host of team. I'd like to thank the Council of Governors who have walked this journey with us. The teams at the Council have been here, but the team of governors, over 10 governors have been here, led by the chair of the Council of Governors, Governor of Kirinyaga, Anne Waiguru, the G7 governors, who are the women governors, who have been here with us since Sunday, Monday, and throughout, and also all the other governors from the Lake Region Economic Bloc who have come, and some will continue to come in the coming days. We have had partners. This conference has been largely supported by partners, Jeff. Somebody will ask, why is the county spending money on big tents, big things, big what have you? No. Very little, if any, money of the county, has been spent on this. This has been a factor of partners, and I want to really, really thank our partners, thank our exhibitors. Jeff, we were thinking we were going to have 100 exhibitors. We are at 300 exhibitors, and people are still pitching tent, trying to get space, and that has really been great. And the Homa Bay team, I think they've spent sleepless nights. I think tomorrow when they go to sleep, they will sleep for 3 days maybe, because they have not slept. They are here. They've been walking around, and I want to really, really thank the Homa Bay team of CCCs, chief officers, directors, who've been doing all the work. I'd like to thank the Ministry of Investment and Trade, MITI, CS Rebecca Miano, PS Abubakar. They've walked this journey with us. Ken Invest, June Chepkemei, and the entire team. The Kenya Tourism Board, they have walked this. The U.S. ambassador has walked with us, was here. Other diplomats, serious, Jeff, I can count them until the cows come home. But I'd like to say that I'd really, really like to thank you for the overwhelming support. And just to say, that we will really not let this faith that you have put in us down. We will work to make sure that these investments turn into a reality. And Jeff, I didn't mention that we got the operating license for the Riwa Special Economic Zone. We call it the Riwa City Special Economic Zone in Karachuonyo. And this is a big game changer because people can now invest here tax-free. And yesterday, as we were getting our operating license here, we also had an investor, Victory Farms, who got another, enterprise license to set up a fish processing plant. Victory is big here with tilapia. I think they are supplying a big part of the country now. They're doing fish farming down in Sindo, and now they're going to be doing processing for export within the special economic zone. So I think it's really been fruitful. And Jeff, I want to thank you, and I want to thank the Royal Media. You have carried this message out there together with the other media houses. But Jeff, that you took a plane to Kabunde and came to Homa Bay.
Yes.
And sat here at Tomboya University. It's like a miracle. Like we are not even, I think it's a dream, or Namnagani Homa Bay people. This has never happened since the world began, this Homa Bay. It has never.
Well,
so we don't take it for granted one bit. We want to thank Royal Media for giving us this big privilege. We don't take it for granted.
Absolutely. Makofi. Governor Gladys Wanga, it's a reflection of leadership. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You lead from the front, and that's what happens. Ken Odegi, Dr. Joash Alo, Professor Bernard Mwok, thank you so much for your contribution to Apigia Makofi Tafadhali. Well done. And you, the great audience here at Mboya University, and folks from Homa Bay, investors, everybody, thank you so much. You guys are a great audience. It's almost midnight and we're still here, and there were still hands up. I don't know, do these people sleep? Give yourselves a round of applause, folks. And like the governor said, the entire team at Royal Media, Citizen Television, you guys have done a great job. From Roba to Greg and all you guys, and back in Nairobi as well, we were coordinating back and forth. None of this would have happened if it wasn't for you guys. Thanks so much for being a part of JKLIVE. If it's Wednesday, it's all about those 3 letters on the keyboard that follow each other. JKL. Thanks so much for being a part of the show. Good night. Good luck. God bless the folks here in Homa Bay County.